to hear from Elrond. I know we have some slides, we have some Q&A ready to go for everybody. So very excited, and I'm going to join you right now.
Hello guys, I'm Benjamin Minko, founder and CEO of Elrond, and today I want to tell you a bit about what Elrond is and what we're specifically trying to achieve. First, let me give you an idea of background on how I came to the blockchain space and what I've been focusing on. So initially, I stumbled into Bitcoin sometime in 2013 and then joined the NEM core team as the 5th member in 2014. The idea was that after NEM, I essentially started a fund together with my brother through which we invested in some of the most interesting technical architectures that were attempting to solve what we thought were the most pressing problems in the blockchain space. And specifically, I'm referring to the problem of scalability, execution speed, and transaction cost that we saw would become an inevitable bottleneck for the space. So after investing in more than 10 projects that were specifically addressing this and going through several discussions with them in an attempt to convince them that there were better solutions out there, and seeing that they were not able or willing to change the solutions or improve them, we essentially gathered a team with which we can literally build rockets, and this is how Elrond was started. So the whole idea of Elrond is that we wanted to come up with a solution that would bring a 3 orders of magnitude improvement in throughput, execution speed, and transaction cost. And to do this, we've built everything on 2 important breakthroughs. The first one is called adaptive state sharding. And the idea with sharding is that you can essentially parallelize transaction processing to increase throughput significantly. And the second one is secure proof of stake. And with secure proof of stake, the idea is that once you can have a really high throughput, you want to process transactions really efficiently and depart from proof of work, energy, and computational waste, and make sure that you have a really fast consensus and then a really, really secure consensus based on random sampling of the consensus group. So to sum it up, we started Elrond at the end of 2017, went through a process of iteration and formalization of this 2 important breakthroughs. Then we presented the paper in 2018. After that, we built a prototype through which we've validated the most important hypothesis. And then after the prototype, we essentially built everything from scratch for the testnet and achieved a 30x improvement in performance from prototype to testnet. So at this point, we built the technical architecture such that Elrond can process more than 12,000 transactions per second with just 2 shards and a meta chain, and can do it all now. So we've tested already with more than 16,000 transactions per second, but the network can stably process 12,000 at this point. Perhaps the most important point is that we are just weeks away from the mainnet launch and are very, very excited to go to market with this technology because we see a lot of demand and potential for improvement, especially given how large the bottleneck is when you look at Bitcoin or Ethereum with respect to scalability, execution speed, and transaction cost. So let me touch a bit on the few important things that we've already done in the process of building Elrond. So first of all, As I've mentioned before, Elrond is built by a team that is exceptionally strong and which puts a lot of effort into building this technology and bringing it to the market. The background of some of our team members brings experience from companies such as IBM, Google, Microsoft, and others. Some of the colleagues have PhDs in computer science and artificial intelligence, and there's also a few of the colleagues who won prizes in prestigious events, artificial intelligence competitions, math competitions, and so forth. So the whole point is this team came together to build this technology and bring it to the market, and now we're only weeks away from doing this. A second important point is Elrond has already raised $5.15 million in 2 rounds. The first round was a round where Finance Labs, Electric Capital, Neo Global Capital, Maven 11, and Woodstock Fund took part, among other investors. And then the second round was an IO on Binance. Since that point, we've gathered around the Elrond ecosystem more than 30 partners and collaborators. And when I say 30 partners, I mean we have Samsung, and I think you all know Samsung. We have a collaboration with them where Elrond has built a game that is already listed in the Samsung App Store. Elrond, the token, is also listed in the Samsung wallet. And in addition to this, we also have a collaboration with Binance, where Binance's BUSD will be listed on the Elrond blockchain and live once the mainnet is launched. And in addition to this, we also have a few other collaboration and partnerships with many startups, and a collaboration with Dubai to explore building some important use cases for the Dubai city. Now, adding on this, we have a layer of security that is very, very strong. We've gone through several audits, both internally and externally as a peer review from other teams, and then also through several audits from Trail of Bits and other specialized security companies. The most important points which I would add are, first, that Elrond brings an improvement to the blockchain space, which is very, very similar to the internet went through when it went from dial-up to broadband. And we think this is very necessary in order to see mainstream blockchain adoption and real use cases built on the blockchain technology. This is the first step. And the second point I would really add is that we've made a lot of progress that has been adding up. We've solved the technical problems, are focusing on the stability of the network right now in preparation for the mainnet launch, and have one final step that we will go through with the whole community before we launch the mainnet. And this step is essentially an incentivized testnet where we put a prize, a few tens of thousands of dollars, so that people from all over the world can come in, run a validator, try to attack the network. And when the network runs for 15 days without interruption, at that point we know that Elrond is robust enough to go live and redefine this space. Yeah, I guess these are the most important points about Elrond. We have some exciting stuff coming in addition to this that is related to UX and you'll probably soon about this hear about this very, very soon. So I'll just leave it to that. Cool. So whether you're a validator, we really, really love to hear from you. We have a very vibrant ecosystem for validators, especially now that the Genesis launch is coming. We have some very competitive staking rewards for the people that are doing the validation, and also for the people that want to just do delegation. So if you're a validator, just come give us a ping. We have a few Telegram groups, one specific for validators, and we'd love to hear from you. Any kind of feedback on this front is very helpful. Second, if you're a developer, again, we'd love to hear from you. We have some really interesting tools that we are building on, and this is especially to allow people to very easily and rapidly build an application on Elrond. And in addition to the tooling, we also have 30% royalty fees built in for developers, so that this can drive a lot of positive incentives and help bring the build the ecosystem really, really fast. In addition to this, if you're just if you're a business owner or a startup founder, again, ping us. Or if you're just a crypto enthusiast, please come visit our Telegram groups. You can find them on the elrond.com website. We have a lot of really friendly admins and people that are part of the ecosystem that would love to help you and answer your questions and so forth. So we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to have you in our community. And I think if you take a really close look at Elrond, you'll see that you'll discover something very interesting with the Genesis coming up and the Battle of Nodes. So yeah, would love to see you there in a few days.
Thank you for the video, Benjamin. Great lead in to and history on Elrond there. I have a little bit of time for Q&A. Might be a little abbreviated. So
Perfect.
on the scalability side, obviously that was like one of the big proponents as to why you went out and decided to build Elrond, and you opted for sharding. And we've heard some different variations as to why that may not be the choice to go in, but obviously, you know, something like Ethereum 2.0, they're heading in that direction. So why did you opt for that specific scaling framework?
This is I think a very, very good question, and the answer to it is basically that if you don't look at the solution a standpoint of what it can bring, then it's very easy to choose different solutions. When you look really meticulously at the potential directions, you basically have all these incremental solutions that essentially just delay the problem. They're not solving it. So if you only bring 5x improvement compared to Bitcoin or Ethereum, or even 10x, this is nothing compared to what you would really need. So the question for us has always been, what would be the point at which performance ceases to be a discussion? So you have a performance that is equivalent to the internet scale performance, and then at that point you start looking for the best possible solutions that could grant you something like this. Whereas the other projects just started out with some random solutions because they were the fastest that could be brought to the market, but essentially would not last once the other better solution came out. With Elrond, we spend a lot of time to find the actual best solution that we could possibly come up with. And it turns out that if you look at radical improvement that would be 100x or 1000x, there's nothing like sharding, and especially state sharding, because there are 3 types of sharding, but we are doing what is essentially the hardest problem to solve. Now that it's solved, once the network will demonstrate that we can essentially process more than 10,000 transactions per second with only 2 shards plus meta chain, and that the transaction throughput can essentially grow with the number of shards, so that we can increase 10-fold or 100-fold from the point we're starting right now. At that point, you start to see that you're in a different world. So this is why we chose sharding, and we're 100% convinced that as soon as the network is live, any kind of discussion, which is usually either a marketing discussion or argumentative discussion, fades away, because you see that there are some very, very obvious and clear benefits that are basically incomparable to the other options that are too incremental.
Excellent. Thanks for the very good answer. I really, really appreciate it. So I'll give one more quick question. We are running a little short on time thanks to my technical difficulties.
Sure.
So in your setup, in the sharded setup, one of the issues that Ethereum 2.0 that some people have been talking about is it going to keep those composability standards, so apps being able to build off each other, which really helps out with the developer experience. Will you be able to easily communicate across these different shards? Is that an issue in any sense?
No, for us, it's not an issue, because we are approaching the problem a bit differently. So the architecture is built in such a way so that for the developer, it does not matter in which shard he is. All the abstraction layer allows for the developer to build something, and then the sharding part takes care of everything in the back end. What I think is really, really important for us is to create an experience that goes in a very different way than what you currently see in Ethereum, because essentially I don't think that any of the architectures that are just trying to copy the Ethereum model will be able to bring a different or larger wave of adoption in the space. And what I'm referring here to is, it seems to me that most of the people are sort of obviously focusing only on how they could steal or borrow a few developers from the other projects, and neglect the sort of elephant in the room, which is the fact that we only have about 50 million people in the blockchain space, and we have billions of people in the world. And so as long as you're just confined to this narrow niche, you're basically playing a very close zero-sum game. What we are focusing on instead is, how do we escape this narrow niche? How could we bring the benefits of blockchain to the average internet user, or people who don't really care about the technology, but could benefit hugely if they would have it, in a way where they don't have to learn anything. Because at that point, we think the next really major wave of adoption will come, and we're super excited to have product that is still in stealth mode, but that will soon launch and essentially bring this vision to the market. So quite excited.
I appreciate we're running short on time. Really quick, where can everyone stay in touch with you, and how can they keep up to date with the project?
For sure. So anyone can take a look at elrond.com. You can see the updates there. Second, we have a Telegram group where we're super happy to discuss any kind of questions or discussions. And you can also find us on Twitter Elrond network, and me personally, Benjamin Minku. And yeah, would be super happy to hear from you and get any kind of feedback or question.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Really appreciate the time, Benjamin.
Sure.
We'll be in touch.
Sure. Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thank you very much.